Welcome, everybody, to another episode here at Voiced Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Sabiaga. So today, I am proud to have as a guest one of my referral partners from BNI. Also, one of the top realtors out in Westlake Village. She brought herself and her group as well. So I'm very excited to have them in here to share about their experience working with Trisha Perez. How are you guys doing today?
Doing awesome.
Fabulous.
Very happy to be here.
Lovely. Awesome. And then on your left, we have Kendall. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Super excited to be here.
Love it. And on her left, we have Leanna as well.
Hi.
Nice to have you guys. I'm glad you guys came in here. I know Trisha just came back from her 30th anniversary, so congratulations
Yes,
to that.
I did. Jamaica, Mom.
So she was ready. Their energy was off the roofs. Honestly, I had to contain them a little bit.
Gotta turn down the mic volume for sure.
So I'm glad you guys are here.
Thank you.
So a little background. I want to introduce. When I got into BNI, Trisha, like the moment I started learning about you, honestly, I was very impressed. It wasn't just what people were saying. It was also how you carried yourself. So I knew from that on, I was like, okay, this person is a person of quality, not just someone who's looking to do business.
Thank you. You're going to make me cry. That's very sweet.
And I wanted to say that because honestly, I thought about it to myself. Like if I had met you like maybe a few years back, and I don't know if I would align with real estate back then, I would have probably asked you to be my mentor. I like looking for people who have a quality that I align with,
I love
so I'm glad that you guys are here, and I know you guys are driving from Westlake.
Ventura.
Leanne's from Ventura, so it's not too far.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, awesome. So for a little bit of background, let's get a little bit of background about you guys, so that way our listeners can know where you guys are coming from and how you guys got involved with real estate today. So we can start with Trisha. Take it away.
Perfect. All right. So been in the business almost 24 years and love that I get blessed to do this on a daily basis. It has been quite the journey. I worked alone for the first 14 years and then gathered people together and built a team, and it's been the best thing that I could have ever done because we get to walk alongside each other throughout this very, very interesting and sometimes trying journey. But yes, so started about 24 years ago, left corporate America to be a mama, most important to me.
Love that.
Being a mom, being a grandma. So I left corporate America with the idea that I would have the freedom to be able to be involved, and it worked. And I raised my kids, and now I get to be there for my grandkids, and it's the best profession in the world. And I get to bless people with the biggest purchase of their lifetime in most cases, which is an honor. Super, super big honor.
I love that. Okay, Kendall, let's take it away.
Oh, how exciting. Okay, so I have been in the real estate industry, kind of real estate adjacent for 23 years. Always on the corporate side of things. I've been in title, I've been in escrow, I was a certified escrow officer. I've managed, most recently was managing for an escrow company at another brokerage in the area, and the best part of those journeys were the people I got to meet. I got to help people and help real estate agents. And 9 years ago, was fortunate enough to meet little Miss Trisha Perez over here, who is my dearest friend in the whole wide world. And
I love you guys' friendship, by the way. Every time you guys step in the room, it's like I see like this crazy, like, in a good way,
What?
I'm like, I want to be a part of that group.
You're so quiet, demure.
It's so fun, and it's so hard not to get emotional in talking about it because it is so special, the relationship that we have. So I met Trisha 9 years ago. I think 8 years ago in 364 days, she was trying to talk me into becoming a real estate agent from the very beginning that I met her. She's like, you should do this. I was a young mom with young kids at the time, and I was so scared. I was so afraid to go from that corporate job to being totally self-employed and taking that plunge. In the past year, it became really evident that that was the path God had put in front of me for that reason. He really gave Trisha the words of wisdom to guide me in taking that leap off that cliff. So
do it or else.
Yeah. Her wisdom was so beautiful.
Super kind.
Yeah. And I made the plunge in fall of last year. And of course, there's nobody I would be doing this with other than Trisha. Being a part of a team is probably we just have so much fun. And Trisha always said, like, if you ask her priorities and what we do every day, it's obviously blessing families in an ethical way and
I love how you
having
guys
fun.
frame that.
Yeah.
I love how you guys frame that.
And we have so much fun, and it's genuinely true. And we hope that it's contagious and people feel that energy, because life can be hard and transactions
I
can
can't
be
even tell you guys are doing real estate.
We are, I promise, a lot of it.
Yeah.
But we're grateful. It's just been the best decision of my life. So super happy.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for introduction.
You
Let's
bet.
get to know you, Leanne.
Okay, so I used to be working at a law firm after I finished my undergrad and thought that was the route I wanted to go until you actually worked in a law firm. And then I was like, I don't know if this is for me. So
What kind of law firm am I asking?
yeah, so we actually represented American Express in collections.
Oh, okay.
So they were,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
it was interesting. I loved who I worked with. My coworkers are still my friends to this day. But I had a feeling we had just gotten bought out. So it was either we were going to do really well or we were going to close. And my boss had put his notice in. And I was like, okay, this is the chance. I passed my real estate exam in January, and I put my 2 weeks notice in March. Started with the brokerage that Trisha and Kendall worked with previously. Did that for a couple years. I got introduced to Trisha by a lender that we both use. Shout out to Brian Farwell. And we just hit it off one day, and it kind of just stuck in my head. Well, what if? I'm from Ventura and they're in Westlake, and I was like, is it worth the drive? Am I going to learn? I've learned so much in 2 years from a previous mentor, and I just wanted to keep expanding my skills, learning more, and gosh, Trisha has been a godsend. And same with Kendall. I knew Kendall, but I didn't know her on the level that I know her now.
Right.
And just to be surrounded by women, and we have Gary, shout out to Gary.
And Gary.
But to
and
be
adore,
surrounded by them, and also they are so in touch with their faith. And that's something I kind of strayed away from, not intentionally, just you get busy. And Trisha will send us Bible verses in the morning. She sent us one today. And
I
so
love that.
it's been nice to refresh my mindset in a more positive way when people think it's such a downfall of a business right now.
For
And
sure.
to be surrounded
Especially right now.
Exactly. To be surrounded by two women that are so uplifting, as you can tell, it is so refreshing.
Very
Yeah,
contagious.
definitely contagious.
So I got to ask Trisha, I mean, when you were starting this journey alone by yourself, right?
Yeah.
You transitioned. You transitioned from a corporate world, right?
did,
And you
yes.
mentioned that you did it because you wanted to become more aligned to spend more time, a work-life balance for your family.
For sure.
Can you talk a little bit how that transition happened, as far as before this whole jumble of amazingness happened?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really tough decision, a decision that I made with my husband and through faith, through prayer. We had put a giant whiteboard on the wall, and we were like, what's my strengths and my weaknesses? Because we
Right.
didn't know where we were headed, what we were going to do, how we were going to make this work. So I ended up working when we decided on real estate, got the license, and then I worked 2 jobs. So corporate America, they were such a blessing to me. They changed my schedule and made it work to where I was able to do both. I did it for 17 months. And I
Right.
remember the day I walked out, and I was so afraid. But I know I'm not supposed to live in a place of fear, but I walked out and I went, okay, I got this. And so then that transition. So it was a lot of hard work. I worked 7 days a week. Every week. So I'm like, wait a minute, this is backfiring. What's happening? But you got to put in the work in the beginning in order to have that big payoff. So, and my husband we're pretty blessed in our relationship. And he was able to say like, hey, you're doing this for this reason. Let's remember you need to pull back a little bit. So we have those kind of checks and balances in our house. But yeah, it took about 2 years to really take off.
Love that.
Yeah.
And it's so, I imagine I have a lot of friends who are also working in the corporate world.
Yeah.
Some of them have, work with family, and some of them want certain ideas. They want to pursue some things differently.
Yeah.
But it's scary because you
So
have that
scary.
stability, you have that safeguard,
For sure.
right? What would you say that allowed you to kind of be more comfortable testing that uncertainty?
Yeah. The thought, first and foremost, it's always going to be faith, but also the thought of missing out with my kids. There's nothing more important than my family. And so I was so fearful of that. That was bigger than the fear of not having
Love
the
that.
401k, not having the regular income. It was, I didn't want at the end at 18 when they were going off to college to be like, all right, bye. I wanted that connection to be so deep, and I needed that to pour in time. And that was the only way I could do it.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, when you experienced that, I mean, you might have had, you could have had some sort of epiphany to realize like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm losing time with my
Yeah.
children, right?
I did, for sure. So my husband and I, our daughter had gotten a Golden Bear Award. She's brilliant. And every kid got the award. Every kid got the award. And for one reason or another, both of us couldn't attend, and that was it. We went to the dinner table I could cry talking about it. Went to the dinner table that night and was like, we're done. We're not going to sacrifice the kids anymore. Obviously, it's very important to me. And now I'm the same way as grandma. And so, yeah, it was a big deal. I was not going to miss anything.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I think it's cool because like come from my age, right? I don't have kids. I don't have a
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
You know, I do see my parents wanting me to spend time. Like I'm not there. You know, like to see that from a different perspective, from a different side of the world. It's like it's
Totally.
cool. Like I wonder to myself, at what point will I come across that? You know.
Yeah, I love that.
So thank you for sharing that.
Of
You know.
course.
So and then the other part that I was also intrigued by is that your group, like Trisha Perez and Associates,
Yes.
now you guys are very faith based. Would you say? I mean, you literally was saying you send her Bible verse. I see you posting stories about it. I read them. Like okay,
Yeah.
like has
If you
that?
know me, I'm going to ask you if you know Jesus. It's one of the first things I'm going to say. So I was not raised in the faith.
Okay,
And
that's
came-
what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, came to faith at 28, and due to a dear friend. And so no, it's a big part of my life in every aspect of my life. It definitely directs every step I take, or at least I try to have it do that.
Yeah, I mean,
I fail at that often, but I try.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people come across business or anything in life, and they just kind of go about in life, and it forces them, or maybe they might end up just giving up just because they don't have that, they don't have that bridge to keep themselves going. So I'm glad that you incorporate that with them. I mean, how does that play a role with you guys working with Trisha, and just out of curiosity?
So beautifully, as obviously Leanna's already touched on. I mean, I believe faith is a journey, right, for everybody. And it's such a personal journey, and it ebbs and it flows, and it's meant to do that. And I truly believe God puts people in your lives to help you with that journey. And, even we meet people from every walk of life, every different background. It's beautiful. We're blessed to help people, in so many different places in their life. And, it's really a privilege to be a reflection of our faith, to be a reflection of God's love. Even if we don't share that in common with somebody,
sure.
we
Totally.
still strive to be models of what it looks like, because that's what we're called to do. At least we feel called to do. And so it's really beautiful to remind each other. It's really beautiful to be raising our children and our families in that faith. It's really, really special. And to be honest, it's what gets me, and I know all of us here, through most of our days, because life can get hard, and real estate transactions can get tricky, and
Absolutely.
kids are young, and family and life just gets busy. So it's a really beautiful centering aspect of our business that is really helpful, I feel like, every day.
Yeah, I mean, I like it when people take their own personal stories and values into business, because it really shows up.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I first met you, and then even Kendall, I could tell that you guys were just like, you guys love what you guys do.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, before I jump back into how how being faith-based affected how you operate with Trisha and Kendall, when it came down to transitioning from your other career back
Yes.
into real estate, when did you realize that this was it? I mean, you've been doing it for 23, 25
So
years?
almost 24 years.
24
And I
years,
knew
wow.
immediately, and I don't want to be like you. It was a given.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I did. It took off really. I was very blessed. It took off really fast for me.
Yeah.
And I remember, so it was back, I'm going to date myself, 53 here. I had an answering machine, and I had 17 missed call messages, and I was like, oh, I'm slammed. And I remember thinking like, okay, Lord, like you've got this. I'm really going to do this. So I was very blessed for my career to take off quickly, and I believe wholeheartedly that was from God especially, and that people felt they could feel how genuine I was. Like, even though I'm new to this, I'm going to do an excellent job. I'm going to be honest and ethical. So I felt like it just showed through rather quickly. And I was very, very fortunate in that way.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of work. It
Yeah.
was 7 days a week. It was hustling, but
Well, let's talk about that,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
now you have the systems,
For sure.
right?
Yes.
You understand not just the processes, which you
Yes.
can mentor them, which is why you're able to, branch out and
Yes.
coach them. I imagine there's a lot of that going on, but also a little bit of fun, I hope.
A whole lot of fun.
Mostly fun. I don't know how much coaching we got going on.
So go.
When we coach, it's over sushi. Just being honest. After our deepest conversation,
Some yummy salmon.
we will dive into that, how that relationship transpires, because I am curious, for someone who's faith-based, family-based,
For sure.
for yourself, like I'm curious to see how that translates. But when you're working back on yourself, like how did you set yourself up for success? And then, like you've been killing it. And from what I hear, like being in the group, I'm always like, I'm impressed. I'm like, damn, man, I want to be just like her, when I grow up.
Look at you. I'm all walking in here. I think you already made it.
I'm just taking my world to your world and connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And truly, from the beginning, like this has been a very exciting journey, a very trying journey, and I've had to rely on my husband and faith to kind of get me through that, because there was a ton of work, a lot of hustle. I'm a very energetic person. And so I have a ton of energy.
I would think something wrong with you if we weren't as energetic.
I have a ton of energy. So that work ethic
Right.
that I have was very easy for me. The hard part for me is pulling back and not pouring into my family. So I had to have people around me that would help me with that. I brought my dad in. I believe in hiring best friends, family, and everything that everybody says don't do. I believe complete opposite. My family and my best friends and my dear friends know more about me than anyone else, and it's who I can trust. And so I brought my dad in. I had my daughter in. I've brought in other people to say to me, you know what, Trish, you've worked 7 days this week. It's time to take a day off. And we hold each other accountable in that way too, for a work-life balance, because it's really easy in this industry to not hold that standard of, no, I'm not going to work Friday or I'm not going to work Saturday. It's a very difficult thing to do. So you have to have people around you that can pour into you and tell you, don't do that.
No, is it? Would you say it's harder to like pull back because you like the work, or is
Yes.
it okay? Because I feel the same way.
Yes.
Right. I'm working like literally. I was up till 2 a.m. I don't know what happened. I just was setting up
I
these
saw that.
mirrors.
I'm all going to bed.
Yeah, I know. Someone tell me to sleep.
I know.
But like
Yes.
I still have a hard time transitioning into that. Sometimes I'm okay, Charles. At this time, you need to stop.
Yeah.
Like what are some ways that, or besides having friends and family, I'm actually curious to see how you guys also play a role in putting all that together. How do you guys like stop yourself from working too much?
Yeah. I think sticking to a schedule, having something actually outlined with real estate. It's funny. I swear, whenever we're on like a day off or a vacation is when your phone blows up the most.
Yeah, for sure.
But having a actual schedule. So I know I had slipped off a schedule for a while and I was like, man, I'm feeling super negative. I'm feeling really down. What's going on? I was talking to my fiance and I was like, what am I doing? He's like, well, you're at your best when you work out in the morning, when you're up early, when you're off your phone. So I actually was talking to my therapist about this, and I deleted some of my social media.
Okay.
And it wasn't social media that was benefiting like my business in any way. It was more of a distraction. And man, I've just felt so much better when I wake up early. Like I did Pilates at this place in Ventura that I love.
that.
I'm going to shout it out. The Movement. It's phenomenal.
Okay.
In
I've heard of
Ventura.
them.
Yeah, they're amazing. So ever since I started with that routine, I feel more energized, and I'll look at the clock. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's only 7:30. No one's even out the office yet. So you already feel like you're ahead of the schedule.
Love that.
And I try to accomplish as much as I can in the morning. So in the afternoon and evenings, I am able to decompress, and I am able to not be on my phone and just relax. So yeah.
Love that. And before we jump into Kendall, I mean, it seems like you guys create a ritual and success and habits for yourself. I've always had mentors who told me like, you want to create habits that set you up to win. Sure. I try to do it all the time. That's why I try to work out as consistent as I can, because it's part of who I am now, and it builds the character that I am today. I mean, is that something that you teach along your group as well, Trisha, or is that just something that you just got lucky with them because they were already blessed with those skill sets?
They're pretty amazing, but we do help hold each other.
Work out all the time. Just kidding.
One day we're gonna get her.
My day does not look like Leanna's. The
there is a
She
I
also
won't
has
judge. Don't
3
worry.
kids.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you crush it because your
Yeah.
energy is off the roof as well.
Well,
so.
she's in a season of her life of babies. I mean,
Okay.
she's got
She has
3 of
3
them.
kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but truly, holding each other accountable in that is super. It's wonderful, and it's beneficial. And it's like, hey, like when you had mentioned that to me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make sure. When Leanna mentioned that to me about like being in a negative place, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I pour into her more, and make sure that she's working out and doing everything that makes her happy. And she's got this incredible fiance that she's about to marry. So we got to make sure that she's pouring into that potential marriage too, because that's so important.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you don't care just about the business.
Oh gosh,
yeah,
no.
no.
That's actually the least amount that I care about.
I love you even more for that.
I love them
That's
so
awesome.
much that I just want them to be happy.
But,
And succeed.
but also, like, I mean, the way I see it, building brands or working with organizations, right? The best people to work in your life are the ones that are happiest, you know, or that have a sense of safety or have a sense of security, right? Resources to fulfill them. I mean, you know, there's some ways maybe you can challenge people to grow through some sort of like I guess, you know, a little bit of challenge, you know, kind of push them a little bit, right? But like oftentimes I do feel that if you can set your team up for success in the safest way, and they would give back to you the way you would give back to them.
I will say with Trisha, and I think Kendall can attest to this too, she is one person that is going to say, how can I bless you? What do you need from me? She is so focused on us that it's almost hard for us not to want to focus on her too. Like she gives us so much and she checks in so much, and I've never had that. Even in a previous position, I've never had that where we're getting a text in the morning, hey, this is what I'm doing, thinking of you. How did this go? How did that go? And it's, for me, when Trisha was gone, I'm like, okay, how can we help her business while she's in Jamaica?
And let me tell you, it was fantastic. I had so much rum punch. I did nothing.
We were saving dogs who were escaping backyards. I mean, we were talking people off the cliff. She sent us photos of that gorgeous water. We were very happy for her.
First time in history, I did not pay attention to my business.
Really? How's that been? Did you feel like you want to go back?
No.
No?
No,
Good for
I
you.
actually was able to 100% just be involved in my family. And that is a testament to Gary, Kendall, and Leanna. I felt so good that everything was going to be covered. It was the first time I've ever really felt like that.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Man, I imagine you must feel so accomplished or proud
Yes.
to have a team that you can fully trust, and
Yeah.
because it's hard, you know. Sometimes working with other people, like how do you know they're gonna do the work, you know? But like how you guys are mentioning, you have to be able to give back to your team as well.
Yes, and it's about who you surround yourself with. It's I have interviewed a lot of people
Really?
for the team. Yeah. And the standards are very high because I want them to have very similar love for people, right? Because this business is a lot about money, and
It is.
lot of our colleagues, it's about money. And I can't have people on the team have it be about money, because then it's not about helping people. If it's just solely about money. Of course, we're here to make money, but that's not the number one thing, and that's not the driver. And that's really hard to find.
Yeah, and I think that's very common nowadays when people get into real estate, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's
Oh, yeah.
because
Oh yeah, they
like
think they're gonna. They see Selling Sunset.
Yeah.
They see all these big shows. I'm like,
TV show.
honey, that is
all
not the
lies.
actual commission.
yeah, I totally get it. Same thing here. Like I come across people who get into marketing, who want to start a business. They all do it for money, you know, and then they tap out in less than a year
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they don't have that fulfillment factor that allows them to continue regardless of the situation.
Yep. Regardless of the money.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's awesome. So I'm just curious. I mean, you know, right now also it's the toughest time in real estate, or at least kind of humbly. Like, how are you guys even like able to? Every time I see you guys, you guys are like, oh, they're thriving, they're good. I'm sure there's something going on that we don't see, right? But
No.
but even okay,
Or
perfect.
actually, we put it
Let's
all
just
out
go in
there.
there.
If I
Yeah.
was having
Love
a
that.
bad day, you
Yeah.
would know.
I do the
Like,
same
it's-
thing.
yeah,
I
it-
love being transparent.
It's
Yes.
all. I
I
can't
love
help
showing
it.
people, hey, I'm having a mental
Yeah.
health day because I'm going crazy.
If you ever want to make yourself laugh, try and get Trisha to show you her poker face. It does not exist.
don't have it.
She does not have
So
it.
if I'm sad, I'm going to be crying. I'm going to be hugging you.
I mean, I admire that. I admire that.
It's all out there.
Just who we are.
So then with this whole what's going on with market crashing or lack of inventory, how are you guys like able to pivot? I mean, are you guys like what are you guys strategies or tactics that you guys keep going?
So we have, there was some coaching that I had been doing and passing on to stay focused, to stay on task, to continue prospecting. Our job is about prospecting too, not just closing escrows. And honestly, just keeping our head down and focused on the business versus getting caught. Like the joke is like at the water cooler with all the negativity. We're not gonna get caught up in that. It's not happening. We're going to continue to bless people, and as those doors open, we're gonna be there and show up prepared and ready to do that, and not kind of give in to what's going on right now with it's very interesting. You have to kind of like really guard yourself, because I'll get on the phone
Mentally and spiritually, right?
Yes, and someone will just start saying how bad it is. I'm like, I'm going to have to go, because truly you have to be able to stay in a positive mindset through every type of market. And so I think really making sure we're on task, continuing prospecting, but also just loving up on each other and having fun. I know that sounds like so light and fluffy. No, it's very important to have joy on a daily basis on what we're doing. And that people are attracted to that.
Yes.
They are.
How are you guys creating this fun? I'm just curious. Now. I mean,
It's
you guys are already
supernatural.
expressing it. I mean, just for the listeners, right? Like for someone who's trying to make business more fun.
Yes.
Like, what are some things you guys can mention, that might help them out?
I love that.
I think that's wonderful. I think that's why we choose to work with our friends. I love going to work, not only because of the job I do, but seeing these women brings an abundance of joy. Like I feed off of people's energy. We obviously all feed off of each other's energy. And you cannot help but be joyful when you are surrounded by people that you love. Yeah. Even if they're having a bad day, even if their transaction is blowing up and they need your help, you're going to jump right in there and love on them. So I think the energy we bring is naturally very joyful. I will say that because we make each other happy, because we're all such dear friends. But then it's also like, hey, what are you all doing for lunch today? Let's go have sushi. Or like, Leanna's so sweet and just brings us flowers in for Mother's Day. And, you'll grab some dark chocolate at Gelson's and bring it into the office because we all get a sugar craving after lunch. Like, it's just kind of those little things in your day they just make you happy.
I mean, I also...
Small touches. I love that.
Right. I also imagine it's the people that you're working with, right? Because some people are bringing people, maybe you need to check within your circle. They're not as supportive for your energy, right?
Definitely.
It can make or break it. I mean, it goes both directions, to be quite honest.
And I'm actually very protective.
I was gonna say you're protective.
I'm
of your
very
energy.
protective of that, of that, and if we feel, or if I personally feel that that's going to impact them and Gary in a negative way, I am a protector, number one, and I will want to remove that because there is something very special in our synergy, and I don't want that to be affected by people who, and I want to love up on them, and I will pray for them, but I'm not going to allow it to negatively impact them.
You'll control what you can control.
Absolutely.
I love that. I mean, even for me, like,
and they're the same way. They're very protective too.
That's good. You guys share similar values. You guys want to protect your group. I imagine how successful you guys' group will be even more when you guys have more people, I imagine, So that's going to be interesting. I'm super excited to see how that will grow and prosper over time, especially with where you guys are going. Because even for me, even I was working on a job, like, I stayed away from people who was just always complaining and negative all the time. I don't know. It just didn't benefit me. So I was always looking for ways to get excited about. So going back into that, like, for me, I'm excited because I go to work or on my business because I'm gonna create something.
I love that.
I love creating. I love building stuff. I love making just seeing the process. I'm an operator. I love just seeing things being built. That excites me, and I think that I like to take that to other people as well. And if I don't, then maybe I'm the problem, right? Because if I'm not adding value to other people, then why should I be around others, right? So I do love that you guys have that relationship, and you guys just create this amazing synergy. I don't even know where to go from this thing, But I do have direction I want to ask, and you mentioned on the description, you said that your business is 100% referral based.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like to say that,
Yeah.
can you dive deep a little bit about that and how
Yes.
that came about?
So there is all types of ways to develop a successful real estate business, and there's many different avenues that you can go down. I have chosen from day one to have it be with my sphere of influence and the people that I am naturally around on a regular basis versus something like cold calling,
Right.
Where it's just cold referrals. I wanted to build that warm network. And so that started from day one. There was some coaching back in the beginning with a guy by the name of Brian Buffini. He's fantastic. So that was more about focusing on your sphere of influence. And so that is, in my opinion, the way you build a business that is referral based. Because every single client that sits in front of us, I can guarantee you, we are going to love. Truly, by the end of that transaction, we will love up on them. We will pour into them in any way we can and make sure at the end of it that we get a 5-star review and that they're saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to tell everyone about you. But it's truly because we care about what works out best for them, right? And not what works out best for us. Don't calculate your commissions. Like, honestly, whatever is best. I have a story way back from a situation. A very, very, very wealthy woman called me off a sign call. I will never forget it. And she had said, hey, I need you to sell my house. I just lost my husband. And I had met the husband. I loved the husband. And it was a very high-end home before we were even doing a lot of very high-end homes. And she said, I really need you to sell it. I said, I'm not going to. I'm going to have you take some time. She was reeling from the loss of her husband. And I said, I'm going to have you take some time. And you call me in 1 year. And if you still want to sell that house. And that was a very, very big home for me at that time. I was working on my own, and I said, you call me at the end of the year, and if you still want to do that, then I'll help you out and I'll bless you in any way I can. And she never sold it. She's raised her grandbabies there. She's had them come over and swim in that pool. And I am always like so grateful that it doesn't matter where you're sitting or where you're at in your life or what your needs are, that you're sitting across from that person and that you literally say, I'm going to do whatever best for that person. And that's why I think it's 100% of a referral-based business for us, for sure.
I love that. I love everything that you just said right now. I love it also right now. That story just gave me just chills, just because a lot of people think that sales is the number one thing that gets your business going, but sales is the outcome of your interaction with those people, which is what gets it. But in order to create those sales, like, you have to solve problems. And I love that how you frame and you guys frame everything that we're gonna bless you. What? Most people are like, oh, like, I'm gonna help you sell a home or buy a home or whatever, right? So from that aspect, like, they're thinking of the action but not thinking of the outcome, which is getting them the next home to be in, the next family they can raise. So let's dive in a little bit into the real estate side, like helping customers, whether sell or buy. I want to know what that means for you guys. We can start with Kendall. I'm going to pick on you.
Me in the middle. What it mean?
You go, girl.
Well, it's really hard to describe. I've watched it for so long, being on the outside of it, because I was right next to the real estate industry, right? I was selling title insurance, which they needed. I was closing their escrows, which they needed me for. And it was very stressful and it was very fast paced and I loved it, but I was always on the outside looking in. And now I'm blessed to be on the inside of it. And I just can't tell you. And I truly believe this is the stage of my journey because this was the timing God wanted me to have. My children are 14, 11, and 6. Okay, so I have 3 boys. They're so much fun. And I now work with a lot of families who are in that same place in life that I am, right? The people that tend to be in that same time in their life. And I watch their babies run into their house for the first time and have a backyard and get so excited that they have grass or get so excited that their room is right now next to their little sister. Like, it's just... It's really hard to put into words, but like, it's life-changing for people when they're purchasing a home. There's marriage often, there's births often, there's divorce often, there's death. And it's such a privilege to walk alongside people in those transitions, even if it's just upsizing or whatever that stage is, it's such a privilege that they trust you, that they come to you for advice. They're scared. They're on a
they don't know
roller
what to do.
coaster. The dollar signs are huge. And I believe that is also why we are motivated to stay as joyful as we are, because they need our strength and our joy to be passed on to them when they're stressed.
something
And,
to
you
get
know,
from, man.
and it's just, it's a privilege. I use the word privilege a lot. I use it with our clients a lot. I use it with the girls a lot, because they have a choice and they chose us, and we just never ever take that for granted or take it lightly. And it's a really special place to be.
I love how that is you're able to break down even deeper of where it really translates into more, because a lot of people just when they think of sale, that's it, right? But like, even for me, sometimes I get in a process where I'm just in the loop. Okay, transaction, cool, I made a sale, but then no, it's more than that. It's
so much more.
what happens after.
Yeah.
It's where the actual beauty comes in. And oftentimes, I get it, we're in business, we want to make a living, but we forget, right? So anyways, I don't mean to skip you.
Oh, no.
Let's talk about what
Kind of what
real estate
yeah.
means for you, Leanna.
So I would definitely piggyback off Kendall. Everyone that you meet has a story of their own.
Yeah.
The same thing, divorce, marriage, whatever it is. I helped my sister gave me one of her coworkers out in Santa Barbara, and he is such a great guy, young guy. I think he's not even 25 right now. And he purchased last year. He was purchasing it for his family. So it's things
Good
like,
for him.
I know it's something you don't really think about. I think it's their dream is to help give back to their mom who gave them everything. And I remember we saw a couple houses out in Lompoc. He finally got one. It was awesome. We closed escrow. It was great. And at the very end of it, his niece and his 2 little nephews wrote me cards.
Wow.
And it was like, thank you for helping us buy this house. And my client gave me one saying, like, I never thought that we'd actually be able to be in this position. So it's real estate for me is allowing people to see, just because you don't know the process right now doesn't mean we're just going to lead you blind.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you we are going to hold your hand the entire way. And I think it also keeps us in check with our skill set too of, hey, we are going to outline every single thing we're going to experience. If there's any questions, you can always call us. So I think being that guiding hand for them is such a fulfilling position to be in.
Love that.
And you do get a piece, like you are a piece of their heart and they are a piece of our heart. So when you try and leave your like mark on this world, you can look back at all your clients and be like, I know I left the best mark I could for their situation. So
Yeah.
it means a lot.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
it's
no problem.
it's easy to get lost in the sauce.
Oh, definitely.
Like I said, going back into it, sometimes I forget. But like when we realize there's more to it, God, it just drives you in a different way, right?
Well, and I will say that I feel like our business too, it can get a little ego. Some agents have
for
egos
sure.
and they're
Absolutely.
like, look at my numbers, look at this. But at the end of the day, obviously we all want to be successful, but to be successful and leave a mark and your clients know you and they trust you and they end up loving you and they end up being your friend, that is so much more rewarding at the end of the day. You can't go to the casket with money, you can go with people leaving and watching you.
Yeah.
So I'd much rather do that than have the ego of flaunting how much I have. Look what I'm driving. Look what house I have.
Yeah.
I'd rather
I'd
be more about
crazy.
look at the impact and
Exactly.
community I've made
Yeah.
for
It's so
sure.
true.
Did you want to add into that, Trisha? I mean, I feel like you dove a lot, and I love hearing your story, but
No, I loved
I'm
it.
just using it as an excuse to hear more of your story.
No, I loved it. I was thinking actually about a lady by the name of Audrey. And I remember thinking, because this is a very hustle, you have to hustle in this business.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I remember moving fast. And she was leaving a house. It was in Granada Hills. I will never forget it. It was a small little home, but it was her whole life. That home, those 4 walls, was her entire life. And I remember like racing through the house. And I'm like, okay, writing everything down because we are very detail oriented in our, and I'm writing everything down. And she's like, do you just have time for, they've heard the story. Do you just have time for tea? And I'm like, I really don't. Right. And then I'm like, of course I do. Like, what am I doing? Like, this is a woman who is walking away from her entire, every memory. The husband, Scotty, that she had lost, she ended up being my pen pal till she was 101. Yeah. But there is, so I think about what we get to help them through. And like, if I wouldn't have stopped and had the tea that day, and actually that blessed me more than it did her. 'Cause I heard every story, every cake she baked. I saw pictures. But bottom line is, like, she impacted my life too. Like, that became a pen pal for me.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was at her 100th birthday. I went, right? Like, how beautiful is that we get to experience that as well? Because those four walls speak volume. That's her whole life. The house I was selling that was just, house in Granada Hills, check, was her whole life.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we'll think of it as transaction, but there's more. And, it makes me feel grateful to be in business too, because it's not just what I create or help other people out with, but it's the relationships I build. Yeah. And I think that's, I forget sometimes that's why I'm in business, because of the relationships I can build, like this interaction. This is why I love doing this thing too. I do have a question I want to transition to.
Please.
Yes, sometimes you should be operating from a sense of like wanting to help others, right? But I think the reason why many people stray away from that is because they come across, let's be honest, there's some people that are not so great out there.
Okay.
Right?
Love that.
So then how do you guys like differentiate that, like staying aligned? Because like I can feel that many people in business or real estate, can get jaded because people, screw them over, right? Yeah. So then how do you guys like stay aligned with the mission of the cause without being compromised?
I love that. There's like a 2 answer to that. So like, to me,
hey everyone, I'm very proud to represent our sponsor for this podcast. We're actually located here in Santa Paula inside A+ Branding. They're your one-stop shop for promotional supply products such as t-shirts, custom hats, custom apparels, you name it, they brand it. A+ Branding provides all your promotional needs. They also provide vinyl decals such as stickers. They even did this wall here for me to make sure that this room is branded properly, to make sure that the guests that do come here feels that experience. Make sure to go ahead and check out A+ Branding. You can check them out at their website, aplusbranding.com, and you can go ahead and request a quote from them. Now back to the show.
There's also a professionalism that has to go within this, with our team, how we deal with every transaction. So while we're pouring into them and loving them, we are very, very detail oriented in the process. It is a very complex process that we take extremely seriously, right? And so that part of the job, so that's like one side of how I kind of understood the question, is to me like maintaining that, yes, we're loving into them, but we keep up with all of our classes. We are excellent at contracts. We have tons of things in place. And then as far as like not getting caught up into the kind of the ego part of it and building this massive business and kind of like making sure we always do the right thing, goes back to faith, in my opinion. And goes back to surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded and love you up and say, oh,
share
you know
similar
what?
values.
We're not going to do that, or we are going to do that, and this is how we're going to do it. So I don't jeopardize that by making sure I'm surrounded by people who are going to hold me accountable and love on me, because I'm human, I'm flawed, I'm going to make mistakes, but having people that it's safe to be like, hey, we're going to do it this way, and kind of just guide ourselves through that, because this is I used to say, like, I'm a guppy in a shark's pond, like, because there's sharks out there, right?
Absolutely,
so we love up on each other and pour into each other in that sense, to be able to say, like, no, with that situation, because it's very easy when you're being screamed at on the other side to just respond like for like, and we're not going to do that. We're going to be different, and we're going to show the difference. Does that answer the question?
No, you answered it. So, I mean, do you guys want to add into that? Yeah. I mean, I love learning from Trisha.
The part of the question that you asked that I felt easiest to answer, so that's what I'm going to do, is how we stay aligned with our mission and our mission and who we believe ourselves to be. And to me, like, that's actually really easy to do. And I don't mean that from an egotistical place, but I feel like when you're so connected and you're so aligned, it's genuine. It's not hard.
There's the answer.
You know what's right. And it's not always easy to do what's right, but I feel like it's easy to know the right thing to do and to arm yourself with the strength that's beside you in your team
Even
to
more
say,
powerful.
this is hard, help me,
Yeah.
right? And that's what we do for each other. And we say, okay, we need to go down this path. How do we do it? A point that Trisha touched on is the transactional process of this. There's a huge amount of liability.
Huge.
Especially in the state of California, for goodness sake, right? There's pages and pages and pages of disclosures and forms and checkboxes and marks. And, you miss something and it's a lawsuit potentially.
Yeah.
So, we, like Trisha said, really have checks and balances in place because, your eyes could be tired because it's the 18th contract you've looked at that day, or, you're...
Or it's 10 o'clock at night.
It's 10 o'clock at night, or your 6-year-old is screaming in my
Yeah.
case, right? Or you've been on the soccer field with your, soccer team, soccer momming that day, and you're sunburned. And, there's just so many things where we're all human and we could make those errors, that the strength in a team that has those systems in place is really, really awesome. So I'm so grateful that we have that. And going back to our clients really quick, I do want to say I get really sad when transactions close.
She does.
I know everyone's happy.
She's
and
all
I-
attached.
I'm all happy for them, but I miss my clients.
Yeah.
You go from
And they miss you.
I know they do.
Yeah.
You go from having this 30, 45 days, if not longer, relationship that's very intense. You're talking all the time. You're texting all the time. You're, their schedule. You know when they're working. You know when their kids
Yeah.
are napping. You know their best time for a phone call. And then you close and you've done the job and you've handed the keys and you've brought them pizza on moving day, and it's like, okay, enjoy your house.
We'll be back next week.
Hopefully I talk to you soon again.
I drive by my
They do.
clients' houses and honk. And don't get me wrong, it's not over when the transaction is closed by
Yeah.
any means, but I miss them because we become so close in a transaction, and we're really good at constantly calling our past clients, just checking in and just saying, how's the house? How's the yard? How's the kids' rooms? Are they sleeping yet? We're really good at that. But yeah, I do. I miss them when it closes.
Yeah.
I love that, like a relationship that I could tell that you guys, carry yourself with the process in such a way where you guys nurture the relationship too,
totally.
very like a baby. Even.
Yeah.
I love that. Sometimes for me, I love hearing that because it reminds me. Because sometimes you get into the process and you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
Totally. Yeah.
but-
Chick.
yes,
Paperwork
check
sign
mark.
here.
You know what I'm
gotta
saying?
go.
Yeah,
no.
absolutely. But then I forget, dude, these are people's lives that we're working with. Like, we get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you want to share anything on that, Leanna?
I think they checked those
They
boxes.
checked off
I
the
will
mark
say,
as well.
the good thing about being with these two girls and also Gary is I've definitely noticed, and no matter what transaction you do, you're doing it for your client. You're not doing it for yourself. And we always are like, oh my gosh, the agent on the other side's so nice. Like, they're so great. They're respectful, and you do come across the sharks, or we always joke. I'm like, why do we need to be mean? Why do we need to be
don't.
upset?
Yeah.
This isn't for us. This isn't our house. This isn't your house unless they're selling it. But, it's for their clients. At the end of the day, let's all
Absolutely.
work
Yeah.
together because
Yeah.
we're just trying to
Yeah.
help our clients. We're not trying to help.
They're not my termites. Don't get
I
mad at
know.
me.
Do you guys ever go overboard sometimes where now you want to, because see, this is what I learned working with businesses, right? Like, a lot of people get into what I do, right? As far as like service providing, right? Just to make that transaction because they are excelled and skilled in it. But I find it best when I'm actually aligned with their goals and knowing where they're trying to be and how I can best put them in the right position, whether it's me or somebody else. So I love that you guys are very aligned with trying to get as much as integrated with integrating is a wrong word for this, it's just a marketing thing,
I get it.
synchronized better with their life as much as possible, So awesome. You guys are, I'm learning so much. So thank you guys for coming out here.
Absolutely.
Right now, where do you guys see yourself going in the next, couple of years as far as, with you guys as a group?
Love that. So we have, the goal is to kind of cover this side of the coast and up and
Okay.
down. So we talk a lot about the fact that we can help people kind of all over the United States and all over, because there is a value there to say like, hey, you're moving to Oregon. I have an incredible connection in Oregon. Let me, bless you with that. Let's walk you through that. And so the goal is here we have Newport Beach kind of area that we have talked about before, up to the Santa Barbara area, but also just to kind of spread across the states and really be connected across the states with people who are like-minded, run the business the way we run the business, have the same heart for people, and that then we can connect people kind of across the globe. That's my vision and kind of my dream. What about you guys?
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Take it away, Kendi.
Well, I feel like I just started, so I am living my dream.
You're killing it already. What?
Just more of the same, to be honest. Just blessing more families, talking to more people every day. I mean, a big reason why I made the jump that I did was very much like Trisha's. It's to be the mom you want to be, right? That's how I define success. That's what I look for. And,
okay.
you know, not
like that.
every job or life circumstance allows you to be able to do that. I've never been a mom who could be home with my kids after school or pick them up from school. And now I'm so blessed that I get to do that. And so, you know, my definition of success is, you know, right now I pick them up 2 days a week, hopefully get to the point where I can pick them up 5 days a week.
I like that.
Right?
I love that.
That's just the goal, right? And just in blessing and helping as many families as we can.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Kendi.
I would say, so I feel like the generations that are coming up, we don't want to be in that cubicle from 8 to 5 if we can prevent it. We're very entrepreneurial, I guess you could say. And when I transitioned to real estate, I was talking to my fiance and I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And he always reminds me, I would kill to be in your position, to be able to not be in my cubicle and have to stay here till 5 and be on a schedule. And this career has been such a blessing to get to work out when you want to, or like, hey, I need a me day and I don't need to ask someone to take it off. Like I can just take it off myself and let my team know. Yeah. And I just feel that going forward, I'd like to obviously keep that and have a team eventually, like 20 years down the road, and mirror how Trisha's done it. Obviously, I still want to be on Trisha's team, duh. But I've learned so much. Gosh, I've only been with her since January, and I have learned so much and learned not just the business, but just how to be a decent person, a loving leader, and someone in faith. And man, if I could do that, and when I'm her age, gosh, I will be set for life.
Me too.
So I want to keep this schedule and enjoy the time that we have when you pick up your kids. I don't have kids, but man, when I see my dog, I'm pretty happy. And he's pretty happy.
Walk that baby.
I'm so glad you brought that up too, because I forget that I have the freedom also, you know, and that's my meaning of success too. You know what Kendall's mentioned. It's for me, it's the freedom to create what I want. You know, in essence, that because like you know I tapped into it ever since I realized when I was a kid, I always liked building stuff. I love building cities, like these little Legos and, you know, putting it together. So I was like, oh, I'm living my life. I'm already successful. It's just the time hasn't caught up yet. So I do love that you guys are sharing that with the balance and making sure that you guys are aligned with your mission and values, that you guys don't compromise, you know. So I really do appreciate you guys' time in here. So let's move forward as far as this end. Before I move forward and kind of close it off, is there anything that you guys want to mention or anything you guys want to
I just
put
want
out?
to say that you are pretty impressive.
Oh,
And
I'm
you're
okay.
and you're gonna kill it, and you're doing amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you for prioritizing us and having us out here. But you're an impressive young man. So I'm very grateful to have met you and for today.
Thank you, Trisha. That means a lot coming from you.
Yeah. No, I mean it, and you know that.
Thank
You're
you.
awesome. I'm just proud of you. It takes a lot to build what
Yes.
you've built, and you're so
Yeah.
young, and I'm so
It's
proud of
impressive.
you. Yeah. Congratulations.
So it's pouring time on me. All right. Guys. I'm used to pouring. Okay, guys. Stop. Okay. Anything else, Leanne?
I would just say, I was talking to Trisha when she was in Jamaica. When she came back, I was like, so in BNI last week, Charles gave a speech on algorithms. So now I know how the algorithms work. I was like, eventually if it does well, they're going to send it to more people.
Thank you for listening.
Of course, but you have done so much. Oh my gosh. I've learned so much just in the 10-minute spiel you had last
Great.
week.
I
So
love that.
if we can bless your business in any way, because I know you would be giving for us, you bless our business, we'd love to bless your business too.
You guys are my referral partners, all right? So,
For sure.
cool, awesome. Well, thank you guys for saying that. I do really appreciate that, and you know, obviously, I'm looking forward to our future endeavors together and other whatever craziness may uphold. Okay, so for anybody tuning in that are listening to you guys the first time, where can they find? I don't even know how to put this together. Where can they find Trisha Perez? You mentioned that
Absolutely.
as well.
Yep. So our team is reachable. We have a website, www.trishaperez.com. You can go there for all of our contact information for everybody on my team. Like I said, we go all the way through Montecito and then down to Newport, but we also can connect kind of across the country. So you're welcome to reach out that way. Am I missing anything else? Instagram, obviously, Trisha Perez and Associates. What's your Instagram?
Kendi Baker on Instagram.
Leanna Georges.
Yep.
Okay,
Exactly.
perfect. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys for coming in here. I loved hearing the stories and what you guys stood for. So
Thanks
thank
for
you.
having
Awesome.
us.
Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. And for anybody listening, tuning in, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Awesome.